Hey everyone, and welcome. We're going to jump right into something that I think is absolutely fascinating. The incredible and honestly kind of shocking story of what happened inside our dogs' heads as they went from being wild wolves to, well, our best friends. You know the feeling, right? That unconditional love, the loyalty, that smart look you see in their eyes every single day. We rely on them, we train them, we pretty much consider them family. There's no doubt about it. They're our best friends. But what if I told you that the very process that made them so perfect for us involved a pretty stunning trade-off? And here it is. Get ready for this. That's how much smaller a dog's brain is compared to its direct ancestor, the wolf. That is a massive drop. More than a third of its brain mass just gone. It just doesn't seem to make any sense, does it? So yeah, that is the big mystery we are going to solve today. How on earth did the animal we value so much for its brains and its ability to learn end up with a significantly downsized one? Well, the answer is all wrapped up in the incredible power of domestication. Okay, so first things first, it's really important to know that this isn't just a dog thing. A smaller brain is actually one of the most consistent side effects we see when animals get domesticated. But as you're about to see, dogs, well, they take it to a whole new level. Just look at this chart. You've got cats with about a 23% smaller brain than their wild ancestors. Pigs saw a whopping 33.6% reduction. But then you have dogs, way out in front at 34.4%. They are at the absolute extreme end of this shrinking trend. And this is where the paradox really hits you. I mean, unlike pigs or sheep, we never just kept dogs in a pen. We've always valued them for their psychological skills, for hunting, for herding, for guarding. So the real question becomes, why would the animal we lean on the most for its brain power see the biggest cut? To figure this out, we need to dive into what science tells us about the real cost of living a safer, less demanding life. What was the evolutionary price they had to pay to become our best friends? You know, for a while, scientists were so stumped by this smaller brain that they came up with something called the jackal hypothesis. They figured, hey, maybe dogs mixed with smaller brain jackals somewhere along the line. But nope, modern science is crystal clear. Dogs come directly from wolves. The changes we see are a direct result of the domestication process, period. And the evidence for this is just wow. You don't even need thousands of years of domestication to see a difference. Just a single lifetime in a protected, human-run environment is enough to start physically changing the brain. Get a load of this number. That's the reduction in the size of the brain case for wolves who were raised in zoos compared to wolves in the wild. A 10% drop. And that's just from living one life without all the constant high-stakes challenges of survival. It's direct proof of how much the environment matters. And here's the key thing to understand. Big brains are what you'd call metabolically expensive. They're energy hogs. They burn a ton of calories. In the wild, that big brain is a crucial investment for staying alive. But in a safer world where humans provide food and shelter, that evolutionary pressure just vanishes. A less challenging life simply doesn't need all that fancy, high-cost neural hardware. So we know the environment was a huge piece of the puzzle. But there's another, much deeper biological thing going on here. It's a phenomenon that really gets to the very heart of what a dog is. And the magic word is neoteny. It sounds complicated, but it's pretty simple. It just means that dogs, even when they're fully grown adults, keep a lot of the physical and psychological traits of a wolf pup. You could say domestication basically hit the pause button on their development. And this comparison just lays it all out. A wolf grows up to be this cunning, fiercely independent problem solver. A dog, on the other hand, holds on to its juvenile traits. You can see it in their softer faces and shorter snouts, sure, but the big difference is in their behavior, that lifelong playfulness, and that instinct to look to us, the humans, for what to do next. And that's the bottom line, really. If you look at it from a wolf's point of view, our beloved, full-grown dogs are kind of stuck in a state of permanent adolescence. But that's not a bad thing. In fact, that's the very trait that makes them so trainable, so manageable, and so eager to please us. So, the smaller brain isn't a bug, it's a feature. It was all part of a huge evolutionary trade-off. Dogs lost some of that intense independence and some of the complex problem-solving skills of a wolf, like, say, figuring out cause and effect all on their own. But what they got in return was the perfect psychological toolkit for living and thriving right alongside people. Okay, so this brings us to the final and I think the most important part of the whole story. We really have to stop thinking about intelligence as just one thing that you can measure by size. Domestication didn't make dogs dumber, it made them a whole different kind of smart.
Modern science gives us a way more complex picture. It's not about size, it's about the wiring. For instance, we now know that dogs pack a ton of neurons into their cerebral cortex. That's the part for complex thinking. We can even see that brain differences between breeds can predict things like their self-control. It might even influence their personality, like whether they have a more glass half full or glass half empty view of the world. It's a total remodeling of what it even means to be smart.
So, in the end, the story of your dog's brain isn't really a story of loss at all. It's a story of specialization. Domestication didn't get rid of their intelligence, it sculpted it. It refined it and reshaped it for one very specific and pretty incredible purpose: to be our perfect companion. And that, right there, is its own brilliant kind of intelligence.